if you can love yourself, others, and nature in everything you do, you will be welcoming change will become easy when you do that.
You talk about in your book about bringing gratitude within your team. I mean, I believe that this all starts, individual. I need to do this for myself, and then, and then I can work outward. But if I can help doing that with my team, let's see, you quote William James that said, the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. I mean, isn't that the truth? I love it when I feel appreciated. And in order to do that, you start by saying to practice humility and gratitude and acknowledge the truth, you need others to progress in this world. Self-sufficiency is a myth. From the day we're born, our existence relies on others. And so that brings up this concept of and I think you two, when you had a conversation on Andrea's podcast together, had this conversation of the interplay between me and we, right? And there's this back and forth. I'd love to hear your comments on that, where self-sufficiency is a myth. What does that mean to you? And how does that apply to this, our reliance on others and that balancing act? Maybe Chris, you can give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, we speak about it also in the context of autonomy. Especially when we think of autonomy, we confuse it with being independent, and we confuse autonomy with being free and self-reliant. And that's it doesn't only make gratitude weak, it makes autonomy weak. So to have the full benefit of autonomy, meaning that you can be self-directed, but doesn't mean you have to be alone in doing so. Others too, considering. I would say the illusion of anyone that they are self-reliant is only the illusion until you face something that really makes you vulnerable. Anyone who's been really vulnerable in his life and exposed will tell you that is an absolute illusion. I mean, Andreea spoke about 9 hours of her life being spent sleeping. It's just a way to show how reliant she was and is every day on others. It's good to recognize that, because we do live with a cultural myth of we must be stronger by ourselves. We don't need anyone. You're not a real man if you're reliant on others type of hero talk. So once you step beyond that and go back to Satish, what he says, if you can love yourself, others, and nature in everything you do, you will be welcoming change will become easy when you do that. So it doesn't mean you have to lose yourself also. Gratitude can also be a process of self-denial. And in certain religions or in Christianity, sometimes you go too far in that. Gratitude is still an active, chosen act, something you choose to do and something that you choose to practice. And when you do that mindfully, it does empower. But I know, and I'm going back to the situation that I was as a person who was a welcome stranger or a young man or young child in other homes, you can easily become so grateful in obligation so that it becomes more a rule or a submission than a source of liberation. So when gratitude becomes all, I'm not worth it, speaking of Sandrine, I don't deserve this, and it becomes a source of debt or due, then I think that's not the gratitude that both Andreea and myself will advocate. Gratitude is really appreciating others without debt, but more with a genuine feeling of thankfulness. So maybe I'm not saying the words exactly, but when it gets into obligation and debt, and it actually becomes a negative emotion. It becomes one of denying yourself in the process, and that's not a growth strategy.